Hey guys, Anthony and Melody here for Sony. So we saw lots of great products come out of the pipeline in 2010. The Bloggy Touch, the PlayStation Move, and Sony Internet TV, just to name a few. But this year we also said goodbye to an iconic Sony product, the one that launched the portable music player as we know it today.
That's right, we're talking about the good old Walkman cassette player. More than 30 years after its introduction, Sony has finally discontinued the Cassette Walkman. Now, a lot of people mistakenly thought that meant the end of the product line altogether. But the Walkman is still going strong, and right now we're going to take a little jaunt down memory lane to see just how far the Walkman has come over the past 3 decades.
The Walkman made its debut way back in 1979 as the TPS L2. It was the very first portable music player with a headphone jack, and it was priced at $200. The name Walkman sounds so familiar to us now, but it took Sony a little while to hit on it. The TPS L2 was actually released in the US as the Soundabout, and in the UK it was called the Stowaway. Even the logo has gone through changes over the years. Here's the very first one with little feet on it.
I do remember my first Walkman. It was a compact black Sony number. It didn't have the record feature. Didn't spring for that, but it played tapes and that's all I needed, and I totally loved it.
By 1983, Sony stepped up the game with the WM20, which they called the Walkman 2. With it came the ability to actually record onto a Walkman for the first time, but it was also a massive leap ahead in other ways. It was about the same size as a cassette case, making it the smallest cassette recorder of its time. And for the first time ever, Sony introduced color options for the Walkman. In addition to the WM20, the 80s marked the beginning of the super recognizable Sport Walkman, the bright yellow Walkman we all know and love. The Sport Walkman didn't just add an armband, it was also made of impact-resistant ABS plastic, and the controls were protected by rubber seals to make them splash-proof.
I remember a bright yellow Sony Sport Walkman where I closed it together like it was a suitcase, and thank you, Sony, because you got me through some very rough and hard times as a preteen, teen. The backseat of a car, long car trips, alone, listening to every song as if it were speaking to me.
The Sport Walkman was just one of the many different models Sony released in the 80s. By 1986, the word Walkman had entered the Oxford English Dictionary. Now, during all this, CDs were making their way into people's homes and cars, and by the 90s, the CD Walkman and Discman started their rise to popularity.
I got the Discman. I first got my dad. He gave it to me. My dad's like an early adopter of everything. So it was like this big, it looked like a brick, but it was a Discman. It was like, it didn't even have round corners.
The Discman went through a lot of evolution in the 90s, not just getting smaller and lighter, but also adding new and improved technology, like G-protection anti-skipping technology, which made listening on the go possible in the same high-activity situations as the cassette Walkman. By 2001, Sony created the first Walkman specifically for the digital age, the MZN1. This little guy supported high-speed transfer of files directly from your computer and 28 hours of playback life. Unfortunately, it would only support the popular MP3 format through conversion to Sony's proprietary A-Track. Poor reception of that device led Sony to rethink their strategy, paving the way for the open format support you see now in their current lineup of Walkman players. And to this day, the Walkman is still going strong, still innovating, and always pushing the boundaries of personal audio.
I've seen some people that have modded old Walkmans to be like cases for iPods, and I've always been a fan of that. Because you still have your music on the go, but you can look not like every other schmuck.
Well, here we are back in the present, and this is what the Walkman looks like today. What we have here is the S series, which is about $100 for an 8 gig model, or for $20 more, you can double the memory at 16 gigs. It's pretty cool. It's got the stereo speakers built right in there, and of course, like most Sony products, it's got a ton of different color options: pink, black, red. This is the purple right now. And there's a ton of audio and video file support, so AVC, MPEG-4, WMV. You can drop files from iTunes, Windows Media Player, even Internet Explorer, or any other app that has non-DRM content. It's got really good battery life, up to 42 hours of music, or up to 6.5 hours of video playback on one charge. And currently it's rated 4 stars on sonystyle.com. Here's a great little user quote. Overall, this was the best purchase I've ever made. I've been looking to buy an iPod to make my workouts more enjoyable, but I didn't like the price points that they're at right now. I began looking towards MP3 players and found this was the exact one I was looking for at just the right price. I love my Walkman.
I really enjoy your dramatic reenactment voice. I just
Yeah.
wanted to tell you that. Okay, let's take a look at the Walkman W, which looks much different than the S series. So this one is a smaller sport-oriented model that fits all its storage and technology inside the earpieces. The left and right sides here you can see are magnetically linked, and when they're joined together, a magnetic sensor automatically pauses or stops playback. Super cool, right? You got 2 gigabytes of internal storage, and also what's really cool is it's got a 3-minute quick charge mode, so if you don't have enough time to fully charge it, you can get up to 90 minutes of battery life just by charging it for 3 minutes, which is great because I never remember to plug my gadgets in. Also, in response to customer feedback, the W series is now water and sweat resistant. The engineering team redesigned it this way after hearing comments that the previous model could not withstand sweat and moisture from hard workouts, so that's awesome. So now you know that when you leave comments on Sony's sites, it does pay off because they're listening to you and they do want to make things better.
Well, I think we covered quite a bit here on the Walkman today, but we still want to hear from you. You probably have a ton of stories to share about the Walkman, and we would love to hear about them. So contact us via Twitter at Signal by Sony or email us at signal@revision3.com. Tell us about your first Walkman experience for a chance to get your very own Metal Gear Solid W Series Walkman for free. You can find the official giveaway rules and the deadline at the web address we've got up on the screen. For now, this is Melody and Anthony signing off. Have a great holiday and a very happy new year.